Is brought to you by MTN everywhere you go. Tonight, a gentleman comes to us and he says that he needed answers for everything that he's about in this life. It was a bit confusing because things were not going on well. Now he went to look for answers and it looks like the answers are not answering. You want to know more? Let's go into the confessions booth, take his confession and make a conversation out of it. Guys, I'm happy to have you here. Give yourselves a round of applause. I am seated in the confessions booth with this fine gentleman who says that he's confused. He has a confession, a story about a journey he did embark on. I am curious to know where exactly he went, what he did, and why he is confused about his life and destiny. My dear, you're welcome to Confessions on TV3.
Good evening, Miss Nancy.
Yes, my dear.
I'm from a Christian home.
Okay.
Yeah. I do go to church. I read the Bible. I pray and fast.
Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah. I realized things weren't going on in my life.
Okay.
Like the way I expected them to be. So I turned to a friend whom I sought an advice from.
Okay.
Yeah. This friend used to be someone I know. He's well-doing, so I decided to seek for an advice from him. Then he asked me to go see a man who can help me see into my life to see whatever is going on. Yeah, so I decided to follow him to see this man. When we got there,
the man asked me to do some rituals,
which I adhered to. I did them.
Okay.
Yeah. Things were going on 3 months after everything was going on smoothly. My businesses were going on well.
What rituals did you do exactly?
He put me to bed.
Okay.
So then he took me into this thing called soul traveling.
Okay.
Yeah, I slept, but then I didn't know what
happened.
Yeah, I didn't know what happened by then.
Okay.
Yes. So afterwards, I woke up, everything was okay. Yeah, he saw into my family background, what happened in the past, my parents, and all sort of stuff like in my family. Yeah, he did all that. So then things went on smoothly.
Okay,
Yeah.
so things became better than they used to be.
Yes, please, things became better.
Okay,
They used
awesome.
to be. Yeah.
So why are you here?
Okay, Miss Nancy, please, I'm here purposely because I feel on better now. I don't feel okay. Yes, I don't feel really good in myself. Since then, I haven't been the same.
But is your work, your life thriving as it's supposed to?
No, please. No, please.
It went back to factory settings.
Yes, please.
Well, that is his confession. He needed to know why his life was not taking the speed that he expected it to take. And he went looking for solutions. And yes, they did put him to bed and he's up now. He's not sure about if he's had the solutions, the answers to his challenges or not. He's confused. Let's get into the studio. And my first time hearing about soul traveling. Interesting. We are seated and we're about to have a serious conversation about this confession. A young man that is living his life, he says that life is not going as he wishes, as he planned. So guys, you're all young guys and young girls here, right? At what point do we say that life is either slow or fast? Who knows how slow your life or your destiny is supposed to be, or how fast it's supposed to go? Do you have an idea?
Miss Nancy, good evening.
Good evening, my dear.
Miss Nancy, for what I know is that you being a Christian or not, we all will go into temptation. A lot of things will happen in our life. That does not mean that God is not on your side.
Yeah.
God is with everybody. Yeah. But he said his life has not been the same again. Yes, it won't be. Because you're going to seek for extra protection or extra, you are seeking for, like he said, he wants to explore his inner self. Miss Nancy, those things can bring a whole lot of things in your life.
Really?
Sometimes if you don't take care, you can never be the same.
Is it any different from what we see in the churches? Because when we were younger, we used to go to the Assemblies of God Church, one of the best Christian groups in Ghana, and you will realize that there were deliverance sessions. That people say, they say all manner of things. They say that a spirit entered them and they start mentioning names and doing all. When I was younger, it was really scary. When we grew up, we got over it. Is it not the same as what this gentleman
Business, I don't think so.
as soul
I don't think
traveling?
so. This is a consultation. He went to consult.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this
so
is
the
not
fact that he went to consult that you don't like.
No. But Miss Nancy, this is not. I mean, where he went to? Is he a church?
It's not a church.
It's not a church. But we have familiar spirits. Things that you can consult that can have effect over your life. You're
speaking tonight strictly as a Christian believer.
Yes,
right?
business, because he said he reads the Bible, he fasts.
Thank you. Let's appreciate him. That is how the world is. You believe in something and I believe in another. We all do not believe in the same. And I think this is a very critical conversation that I want to bring my resource persons in ASAP because it's a very serious conversation and we cannot play around with this. So ladies and gentlemen, to help me with this conversation, Pastor Ebenezer Quay. We all know Pastor Ebenezer Quay. He is a counselor, a lecturer at the Valley View University. People, let him feel loved. Let us appreciate him. Let us appreciate him. Thank you. Thank you very much. A great woman who is a social commentator. She is Manyena Amokosomo, the first. And she is knowledgeable, and that is why she is here tonight. The conversation is serious, and we needed a woman like her. Let us celebrate her, please. Yeah. My lady, you are welcome, please. This is going to be a very interesting conversation. Osofo and Manye. Manye, is it because you're Queen Mother?
Yes, it is.
Oh, wow. Queen Mother where?
So my seat is, my stool is directly attached to the Gamancha stool.
Okay.
So my full title is Teichuru Manye. Teiko Churu Manye. Na Amoko Suomo the first. Because I'm the first of my name.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's beautiful. The Gamancha there, we don't want to talk about the finest, fine gentleman with a great voice.
I will pass the message
I mean, on behalf of all the Ghanaian women, we want to extend our love to him through you.
I will pass it
Make
on.
sure that he knows. So we are loving on the Gamancha. He's a very fine gentleman. Thank you for being here.
Thank
and
you
also,
for having me.
it's great to have you.
Yeah, it's a great time to be here once again.
Indeed.
It's a blessing.
Let's have a very serious conversation. A young man says that he is struggling with life. And the question I asked my studio audience, I want to throw it back to you. At what points do we know that this life is too slow? I'm supposed to be here and I'm not. I'm supposed to have this and I'm not having it. Or we just assume that things are too fast, things are too slow, or this is how life is supposed to be, that we do not know how it's supposed to be, but we take it as we receive it.
All right, thank you very much, Miss Nancy. It's a difficult task on our hands tonight.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll try our best.
We know you are well equipped, sir.
By the grace of God. Actually, the human life is a journey. And it involves process.
Yes.
What I have come to realize is that most of the time I want to possess the end without really wanting to go through the process. Let me use something that we can all find meaning in it. Yeah, relate to. For instance, if you look at trees that grow very fast, their maturity stage is fast, they die off easily.
Okay.
And trees that live on for a longer time, you would see that they live and generations come, generations go, and they are still there.
The palm tree, I know
palm
of
tree,
that.
for instance, take palm tree and tomato. For instance, tomato, 3 months is gone.
Yeah.
But the palm tree will be there for a long time.
Yes.
Things that take time to mature, they last. And I think that is one thing that people must begin to understand.
Yeah.
And then also, if you look at trees, the broader the base, the bigger the top. And so what God does is, he allows us to grow in terms of our roots first. So we grow into the soil, then we rise up. Now, when you are growing into the soil, people don't see anything.
Yeah.
And you yourself, you think that it's not working.
Yeah.
But you must know that God is deepening the roots.
Yes.
So that if you bear the fruit, you can handle it. Unfortunately, there are people who want to go very fast. They bear the fruit, they fall off.
Yeah.
You know, because they don't have roots.
Yeah.
So I think that at a point when we think that it is not working, that is the making point. And if we can hold on a little bit more without veering off to do the kind of things people do, I think that we'll bear the fruit and to be the best for us.
That is deep. That is deep. My lady,
So,
about life and the processes of life.
right. My followers on TikTok will tell you that I speak about the should have trap that the young people continue to fall in.
Yeah.
Society has set this trap for young people, which makes them think, by this age, I should have this. I should be married. I should have children. I should have a job. I should...
My own house.
My own house.
A
I should
Range
have my
Rover
own
or a
car.
Mercedes.
Exactly. And so because society has set this trap, and most young people fall into it, that's what leads to these kinds of instances. I continue to say that you need to understand that life is times and seasons.
Times and seasons.
Times and seasons. Look at, and I would use the birth of a child. A child will be born for about 6 to 8 months. He doesn't even know how to sit.
Yes.
A child will sit before he will crawl.
Crawl.
In actual fact, some children even crawl backwards. My son was one of those. Crawled
He
in
went back
reverse
before he came
started
forward.
to go forward. Exactly. A child will crawl before a child will stand.
Yes.
And as soon as he stands doesn't mean that he's walking. It takes a while before he starts to take his first steps. You walk before you run.
Yes.
And then when you run, you can fly and soar as high as you want to soar. However, because society has set this trap that, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, people measure their successes, their milestones, by their colleagues, their peers, ignoring completely the fact that the fingers are not equal.
The same.
That even twins who were born minutes apart were given different missions, different purposes to walk this earth. And so even if he is my twin and he has reached this level, it does not necessarily mean that I too should have reached that level. It is this trap that a lot of the young people need to escape, because otherwise you find yourself being pulled into all sorts of situations like this gentleman.
Yeah.
And then, like he said, he's at a loss now. He's probably worse off than before.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, it's the need to escape this trap. That's what I usually preach.
Now it has been established that for both believers, Christian believers and other believers, because everybody is believing in something, yes, we all agree that life is about times and seasons. That is given. But at what point should a person rise and say that, even though life is about times and seasons, I am missing out on my time, or I'm missing out on my season, or I have bypassed my time or my season, and so I cannot remain relaxed, expecting life to happen to me, that I need to rise up and happen to life?
So definitely, because we are talking about time and seasons,
Yes.
you will see that there are two words here playing together.
Yeah.
You have chronological time, and that is the hour ticking. And season is an opportune moment. So if you have an opportune moment and you don't take advantage of it and it passes, then you have to wait for another time.
Yeah.
You know, we must establish that one. Now, if you miss that opportune time, it takes time to get it again. That is clear. Okay. God does not expect us to sit aloof to make things happen.
Yeah.
It takes, from the Christian perspective, it takes God and human effort to make success.
Yes.
And therefore, it is not that we are saying that just sit and fold your arms and be waiting. You need to have a process to follow. If you are to go to school, go to school. If you are to learn a job, learn a job. Whatever you are supposed to do, keep doing it. But never expect that all of the expectations you have would happen in a day. Yeah. Let's not forget that the Bible says clearly that though your beginning may be small, the end will be great.
Greater.
If you read Habakkuk, it says that write the vision, establish it.
Make it plain.
Make it plain. It may tarry, but definitely it will happen. And whilst you set the vision, you must have a purpose that is driving you, that is helping you to work.
So even if you are studying, even if you're learning a trade, you need to have a vision.
That is driving
Your
you.
end goal.
Yeah.
You need to have an end goal.
An end goal in sight.
Yes. Absolutely. But also, your,
Yes,
question,
Manye.
your question was, at what point
At
should
what
a
point
person say
that I cannot wait for life, I need to rise?
I do not think it should become a matter of I cannot wait for life. I usually say there are signs. So repeated missed opportunity. I get people who reach out to me to say, I get all sorts of opportunities. I start something and then it falls apart.
Yeah.
And I ask how often, how frequent. If you recognize that this is a frequent thing with you, because indeed there are things of the spirit.
Of course.
Indeed we live both a physical life and a spiritual life. Good. Now, we cannot deny that sometimes there are blockages in the spirit. We cannot deny that sometimes there are obstacles or things that, as we say, are thrown at you to block your path on this journey that you're on. So for me, what I usually tell people is, if this has become a frequent thing, and you will know, like, okay, this good opportunity came, I tried, I failed. Another good opportunity came, I tried, I failed. Good people come my way, they say they will assist. At the point of assistance, something happens and it veers off. It is at that point that I will say, okay, depending on what faith you believe in, it is time for you to start to take action. If you have a man of God, a priest, a pastor that you believe in, like I said, depending on your faith, it is time for you to go and seek assistance to find out exactly what it is that's going on in the spirit. What
so
it is
this
that's
young
causing
man, if he had repeated disappointment or failure, he had a right, to look out.
Yes. However,
However,
like I said, it needs to be somebody that you know and trust.
Okay.
It needs to be somebody that you know and trust, because they are charlatans.
Okay.
There are people out there posing as one thing and they are completely the opposite. Do you understand?
Even in the other beliefs.
Across beliefs, even in Christianity.
Of course. We've heard of so many stories about our brothers. I'm greeting all the prophets, so bless you, sirs. We love you, we love you.
They are charlatans. In fact, as I was listening to his confession, my first red flag was the fact that he went to a friend.
A friend. Usually that's what we do, right?
Because you see, you may see your little as little.
Yeah.
You may have a certain grace on you that your friend actually sees, and sees your end and the light that you're about to explode on.
Are we? I mean, guys.
Right?
You seeing your little as little,
exactly.
But the person you're going to for help could see that your little is even greater.
Exactly. Exactly. So you can go to, so first of all, he went to a friend. You do not know what conversation this friend had with this spiritualist that you went to.
Yeah.
Do not forget that people who are able to read energies, read futures.
Yeah.
Okay. So to you, your little now is little. You went to this spiritualist. He read and saw he has a great future. He had a conversation with this friend that you thought was a friend, who took you to him and said, oh, this is your friend that you brought. Charlie, his future is not small. You know what we can do? We can actually exchange your destinies for each other. Yes, it can happen. And so, like I said in the beginning, yes, you want to check, you want to do divination, you want to go and fast and seek the face of the Lord, you want, depending on your faith, you want to do what it is that you want to do. However, who you go to is what's most important, because they are charlatans.
Thank you. But also to you and the brothers in the Christian faith, we have heard stories. In fact, I was in a prophetic service. I went to visit a friend, Prophet Emmanuel Lejay of the Prayer Palace, and he was prophesying to a young lady and was telling the young lady that her star was tapped on by a man of God that she went to worship with.
Yep.
A prophet telling a member of his church that, listen, you are going through challenges because you have a great star, but the pastor you went to store this star and tapped upon it. Your brothers, maybe I have a call there.
And just as she said, you see, because they are charlatans, and they don't normally stay outside the faith. False prophets and all manner of people who can rather change destinies and do all manner of stuff, they are always within the sphere. Okay, they are within the sphere. And so when you are trying to seek for help, I would say that the first thing you need to know is to depend on the God of man, not the man of God.
Oh, yes.
You need to understand that one. Depend on the God of man, not the man of God. Indeed, you can talk to people that can guide you, but as they guide you, for instance, when he said that he reads the Bible, I wanted to find out from him whether he's been guided by the Bible. Because when somebody tells you to do something, the first that should come into your mind is what the person telling me established in accordance to the word.
The word of God.
If it is not, then you should know that that must be a different spirit, in spite of wherever the person finds it. Even in church, you have to
The one thing I advise is for everybody to pray for the spirit of discernment.
That's it.
It doesn't matter whether you're Christian, whether you're African traditionalist, whether you're Buddhist, because like I said, there are charlatans across all the faiths.
Yes.
But you see, we are all sent here with guides. What people will refer to as your guardian angels, your spirit guides, the voices that you hear, all of those things. Now, those guides, no matter what your faith is, stay with you.
They do.
So they are the little voice in your ear that makes the hair on the back of your neck rise when something is not good for you.
Yes.
They are the dreams that you have that make you uneasy about certain instances. So when you pray for the spirit of discernment, you will know the minute you're put into a certain space that is off for you, your spirit guides give you signs to know that this space is not for me, is not of my spirit. I must step out. Unfortunately, we do not pray for the spirit of discernment.
And sometimes we even ignore.
Exactly. We ignore our instincts, unfortunately. And instead, like he said, we look out for the man of God or the friend who is supposedly doing well.
Yeah.
Not knowing what this friend is doing to do well, not knowing what this friend, if in fact this friend is even your friend. Because let us not forget, we have people in our lives posing as friends who are not.
They are not.
So the first thing everybody needs to learn is to listen to their instincts, listen to their guides, listen, and there are little things. Like I said, uneasiness, the hair on the back of your hair rises. You feel chills. You suddenly get goosebumps. You get dreams. All of these are signs that something, and you need to be able to understand and read them. First of all, pray for the spirit of discernment.
The spirit of discernment we need. This is Confessions on TV3, and tonight we're talking about the gentleman who was uncomfortable with the situations of his life and decided to look into that situation. Currently, he's unhappy because he started seeing some good and then he went back to bad and now he's going to worse. It is a good conversation, is it not? People, don't go away. We'll be right back. You are welcome back to Confessions on TV3, brought to you by MTN, everywhere you go. And just when we took the break, Dr. Asafo decided to, appear into the studio. How he did it, I don't know, but Dr. Asafo, thank you for making it. Tonight is always wonderful to have you. We're having a very deep spiritual conversation, and you had a confession, didn't you?
I did.
And do you think that there is a medical, psychological aspect to this? Because I know that you deal with the mental health of people.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Nancy, and a wonderful good evening to everybody who's watching us.
Yes.
Like I always say, I don't understand everything, but I
Of course.
explain things within the remits of what I know.
Okay.
Within our field,
Yes.
see, psychology is always looked at what we call consciousness. So when you say that somebody is conscious, they are aware of the environment. Okay. Now, between consciousness and unconsciousness are a number of very interesting things. So, for example, we consider sleep as an altered state of consciousness.
Okay.
So you are conscious, but you are not conscious. And within that remit are a number of very interesting things that can happen.
Yeah.
For example, let me just highlight, for example, say sleep. Okay, so you see, when people sleep, the majority of what makes us is our unconscious or subconscious. So what we are not aware of.
Yes.
Okay. Now we say that your deepest fears, your deepest worries, your deepest desires, they are stored within your subconscious mind. So you are not aware of them.
Yeah.
And even for those that you are aware of, societal rules
And
may
norms.
tell you this you can't do.
Yes.
Now, for a very long time within psychology, there was a man who said, when men have wet dreams, the
Yeah.
explanation of wet dreams is that
Yeah.
naturally they want to have sex.
Yes.
But per our society and the
They have
norms that govern it,
restrictions.
you know that you can't just do it. So then you have it in a safer place, which is in your dreams.
In your dreams.
That is it. In the same way, the way people explain or interpret dreams. Now, people have very different categorizations, but I'm only speaking from a purely psychological perspective.
Yes.
Is when somebody tells me they have a dream about something pursuing them, all I say is there's something you're afraid of that you haven't perhaps allowed yourself to process, or
Acknowledge.
you have tried to avoid.
Yes.
So consciously, I can avoid thinking about emotions and thoughts that make me feel uncomfortable. Unconsciously, I don't
there.
have that power.
Yes.
So it can seep into consciousness and then make me feel the way that I feel. Now, in people who have what we call post-traumatic stress disorder, or for people who go through trauma, majority of the time we say that trauma is a disorder of memory. So it's about the memory of the event.
Yeah.
And we use a process called hypnosis, which is also an altered state of consciousness. So I'm going to put you into a certain state of sleep.
Okay, Doc, you were taking us there, but I will not allow you. I would have Manye and Pastor deal with it. So before we went on the break, in the confession of this young man, he says they went to see a man, and the man put him through a ritual that took him to sleep. And then some things were done because they went into his background. He does not recall exactly what happened over there, but they said they had a soul travel. People, in my dictionary of life, I do not know anything like soul travel. Osofo, have you heard of it before? I'm here to learn this evening.
Yeah. Soul travel is real. Now, if you look at the way, I'm speaking from the biblical perspective. If you look at
Yes.
how God created man,
Yes.
it was dust. Then he breathed into the man. So you see a combination of dust and spirit
Yes.
forms the
And
soul.
man was sleeping.
Yes. And that brought the consciousness.
Yes.
If you look at all languages, English, we say this is body.
Yes.
Tree is hunam,
Onam.
helu, and all that. What it's telling us is that this is a cover.
Yes.
This is a cover. It's body. The real person is in there. And therefore, if you check the Bible, because that sometimes it is, these three things are listed. Body, spirit, and soul. You say it there. Now, the point I'm making is that we have something we call astral travel.
Okay.
This astral travel is the same thing that we are talking about as
The
the soul
soul travel.
travel. In essence, the soul or the inner person is able to move out, for the want of the right term, move out. So I can give you examples in the Bible.
Okay.
2 examples for the want of time. One is a vision that Ezekiel had.
Yes.
According to Ezekiel chapter 37,
Yeah.
he was sent to a valley
My
full
spirit
of
was
bones.
lifted.
Yes, full of bones.
Yes.
He was taken there, full of bones. This is not that he was sleeping and saw, but according to the record, he was taken there. There is another example in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, 1-4, where the author was talking about knowing a man who was taken to the third world. He said, oh, no, to the third heavens, to say, the third heavens. Okay, so in essence, and that person saw a whole lot. Not, apart from the Bible records, we have seen several other situations. Now, the point I'm arriving at is that these things are real. However, there is nothing that God does that Satan doesn't try to counterfeit.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
You know, so if you go to the Bible, the rod became snake. The magicians also brought snake.
Yeah.
You know, so the point I'm making is that these things are real. However, if it is God, it is safe. If it is Satan, the repercussions will definitely come.
And these days, how do we even know this one is God and the other one is something? Still on soul travel, Manye.
So yes, I'll add on to what he was saying. Soul travel, the scientists will refer to it as OBEs, out-of-body experiences.
Yes.
Astral projection.
Yes.
Soul travel. I will say,
in the simplest of terms,
it
to
is,
those of us who do not know what it is, please explain.
Okay. It is an out-of-body experience.
Okay.
It is the ability for your soul to leave the human form and project into astral planes.
Okay.
There are all sorts of ways that soul travel can happen.
Okay.
There are people who are using
Hallucination,
hallucinogens,
yeah.
who are using hallucinogens.
Yes.
Now, is that soul travel? I don't think so. Because that's hallucinations.
Right, just imagine.
And when it's guided,
yeah,
depending on what it is that you told said shaman, said spiritualist, if that person is the one that's guiding you, because when it's guided, they speak to you as you're supposedly traveling.
Yes.
Now, anybody who has used any kind of hallucinogen will tell you that it enhances whatever the mood you were in before it hit.
It took over.
Okay, so for instance, if you were sad and you took cannabis, it increases your level of sadness. If you were happy and you took it, it could triple your level of happiness. It really depends on the mood you were in before you took it.
Yes.
Very good. So now, you've gone to this shaman, you've gone to this spiritualist. These are my problems. These are the solutions I'm looking for. This person gives you this concoction. You don't know what it's made of. And then you drink it. And then he or she starts to speak to you, which is what therapists will do with hypnosis. They will speak you, okay, so you're going into deep sleep and all of that. Okay. Now, once you're asleep, you're vulnerable. Because you're not aware.
Yes.
You are semi-aware, so to speak. So you continue to hear whatever it is that this shaman or this spiritualist is saying to you. And that is where you will travel to. Keep in mind, I said that whatever it is that he or she has given you is like cannabis or something similar. And so that is where your mind will naturally travel to. So those are they're not astral projections. They're not astral travel. Okay. Real astral travel, you can actually visit, like he said, the different realms. Again, you need to be guided on your travels. In actual fact, there are people I know and can speak of who can astral project while awake. And they come back and tell you exactly where it is that they went, not on any drugs, not on any nothing. They can get out of their body.
It's just a great gift within them.
It is a gift that they have within them, and they can go and tell you things from the future, and the things of the future come to pass. So it does exist. Guidance, though, is key. Guidance
Have
is
you
key.
ever had a soul travel?
Can I plead the fifth?
Manya doesn't want to disclose everything. So no, I need to pick your opinion about the soul travel. Medically, is it known? Is it accepted? And how is it like over there?
It's synonymous to something we call dissociation.
Dissociation.
Okay, so when you dissociate, like she mentioned, it's an out-of-body experience. You leave your consciousness. So in as much as we look at sleep as a form of dissociation, it's not entirely dissociation. Now, in dissociation, what happens is we understand dissociation as a protective mechanism.
Yeah.
It's a defensive mechanism to make us not experience disconcerting emotions.
Yeah.
So, for example, let's say that I've been through a robbery, very gory one, and I feel the pain all the time.
Yeah.
Now, one of the ways the brain and the body will try to protect you is to dissociate from it.
Yeah.
And there are two types of dissociation. The first one is what we call depersonalization. So it's almost as if you're out of your body and you're looking at yourself in a movie.
Yeah.
Now, in that moment, you don't experience the emotions of the other person, although you are watching them. So it's like you're going through the motions. It's like you're numb.
Yeah.
But that's to prevent you from feeling the pain
that comes
of
with
that issue.
experience.
Then the second one is what you call derealization. Now, in derealization, the world seems not real.
Okay.
It's almost like a cartoon. And so once it's a cartoon, it's fantastical in your mind. And you know, like I always tell people that whatever you see, your brain creates a picture of it and can make it real. And that's why when you fantasize, so if you are asking if you ever had an out-of-body experience, I'm going to say you might have.
Okay.
You see, when you fantasize about something, you leave the present. So now I'm fantasizing about some fufubi in some corner. And I can
fantasizing about Asabia's Kokonte.
Good. I can almost feel the taste. And if I allow my mind to wander in that direction, I may be here, you may be speaking, and I won't hear anything.
That's it.
That kind of, it's an out-of-body experience. You're fantasizing. Now, in our field, when we put people through hypnosis, what we're actually trying to do is knowing that there are many unresolved issues. So I live normally, I'm fine. No, like there's nothing wrong with me. But in the deepest parts of my mind, I'm going through a lot of challenges. Now, most of them I'm unaware of, but it shows physically. So maybe I find it very difficult to talk to females because in the past, somebody, I might have talked to a female and she might have rejected me and people teased me. So that teasing scenario is still deep down there. Now, the brain also tries its best to forget painful memories. It will try. We call that repression. So it pushes it out of consciousness. And it's not that it's not there. And I try to give this analogy that when you have these dilutable drinks, and then you pour it in a bucket, and you fill it with a little water, it maintains its color, let's say bright red. You keep pouring water, at some point, it seems like water. But does it mean the properties are gone? No. So that's exactly what happens in the brain, that the memories are there somewhere. Now, our job is that we want to let you process them. So going in there to bring those memories into consciousness where you can process. So, for example, I was molested as a child. So I still feel weak and timid that I can't be molested. Processing it means bringing you to a place where it's like, then I wasn't strong. Now I am stronger. So it shouldn't be a problem as it has always been. And that's the way.
So medically, you actually use soul travels for healing.
I wouldn't say soul travel.
You don't call it soul
We will
travels.
call it.
You call it what?
It's a dissociation process, and what we do is we ground people. So you see, you can't dissociate if you are grounded. So for example, like now, if I start to tell everybody, what's your phone number? You see, you are not thinking about your phone number. The moment I mention it, you start to rehearse your phone number. I'm bringing you into conscious awareness. So our job is to bring people into conscious awareness so they don't have to.
You can call it soul travels, you can call it astral projections, you can call it whatever. Doc, you said it's called what?
Dissociation.
Dissociation. Bottom line, it's an out-of-body experience, and it is happening all over the place. But it has been established that as a doctor, he will guide you. As a spiritualist, a shaman, you need to be guided before you allow in everything and nothing and be sorry later. Let's take this break. I'll be right back. Okay, so in trying to solve this confession and story and challenge of this young man, let's talk about what actually goes in there, because he says that at a point things were good and suddenly things are not too good. So what actually goes in there when you get into that higher dimension? Okay. Out of body experiences we easily term as soul travels?
Okay. So, like I said, there are good and there are bad energies, spirits. Christianity will refer to angelics and demonics. Spirituality will refer to energies.
Yes.
But in everything, there are positives and there are negatives.
Indeed.
Now, in this gentleman's case, and in most cases, what usually happens is you'll be guided onto a certain plane where, and I usually say, look, that you meet the least of the energies. You know, the ones who will offer you wealth and all sorts of things and not necessarily tell you the implications and the debt that you will owe them. Because there are no free lunches.
Even in the spiritual world?
Yes.
I thought it was only in Accra.
No. In the physical realm and in the spiritual realm, there are no free lunches. Nothing comes for free. What I have come to realize is most of these traditionalists or spiritualists, they're fake ones, they're not good ones.
Yeah.
Do not tell you that this contract that you're signing...
I can give you this at the cost.
At the cost of this.
Yeah.
Because if they tell you, you will not do it. And so again, what I usually advise people is, yes, you can offer me money. At what cost? Ask all of the questions. Who is this deity that you're letting me travel, soul travel, to see? What are the expectations of this deity? In future, will I be able to have children? Will this money fizzle out if I do not pay these debts? Will my marriage fizzle out? Does that mean that my children will not? There are no free lunches, and so know to ask the right questions so that you make informed decisions.
That's a good one. Also, this young man, what help as a pastor are you giving to him?
First and foremost, I'll call for prayer. I'll call for fasting.
Which kind of fasting?
I'm
6 to 12.
I'm coming to that one.
6 to 12. I can do it every day.
I'm coming to it. In Matthew chapter 17, verse 21, the Bible says, "Howbeit this kind does not go out except by prayer and prayer." And so he would have to get into that kind of mood. Not just somebody praying for him, but he must be involved as well. The other way of rerouting him back is what we call deliverance and then restoration. Deliverance, redemption, and then restoration. And I think these are the pathways to be able to help him. Well, in some jurisdictions, they would also want to play into the spirit to know exactly what happened. Like she suspected and was trying to explain, know exactly what happened, how can we reverse it, and all those things. To Frank, I'm not too much involved into that kind of thing. I know what a person can do basically to be redeemed and be restored. And those are the things that I'm mentioning here. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Doc, we would also want to know the help that you would... medically, is there a way out for this gentleman?
Well, absolutely. And I always say, before we can do anything, we have to do our assessment.
Yes.
Now, you see, what is being described can be a lot of different things for us professionals.
Yeah.
It can be, like I said, a dissociation, which is usually something that's rooted in trauma. It can also be a delusion, which comes as a result of what we call a psychotic disorder. So you see, mostly the person we see on the street who seems unkempt and is walking about, we would normally call mad. We call psychotic. And in psychosis, you have two main characteristics. Delusions, which are beliefs that people have, that even if you give evidence against, they still will say, no. I mean, they can't believe. They are not conscious or insightful enough to know. So somebody may say, the world is against me, people are chasing me, and there's nobody chasing them. And then we also have the hallucinations, which are perceptive. So I'm seeing things that other people cannot see. I'm hearing voices that other people can't hear. I'm feeling things crawling over my body that other people cannot experience. Now, within that context, we have different treatments, which is a mixture of both medication and then what we call psychotherapy. So, you know, talking to the person. Like, for example, you work with somebody who says, I'm hearing a voice that says something bad is going to happen, okay? It's a gradual process. So we are tracing that voice and we're asking, what did he say today? What did he say the day before? And then you're looking at it, and the sequence is, it said, I will get in an accident, I will. So as part of the process of helping them gain control is, were there any times where the predictions of the voice was inaccurate? And if that's yes, then we say, okay, that means that the voice is not going to be accurate all the time. So that way you are helping them to get grounded and take control from there. So depending on what diagnosis we're making after our assessment, there's a lot that we can do. But I wanted to say something earlier. You see, the issue of being hypnotized or having an out-of-body experience.
Which I would want to have one with you. Because I'd want to experience all my fears.
We'll speak in chambers.
Yeah. We can do that, right?
Well, of course we can. We can speak in chambers. Now, you see, notice that even for people who go to church, when they leave church, there's a positive aura that they experience, okay? Now, that aura means that you are motivated. You have a backing that you like, whatever I do is going to work.
Yes.
So it gives you motivation to actually pursue your goals. And that could actually bring the result you are looking for. Now, I'm saying this because it's not all the time that it might actually be spiritual. Because within the brain, when you are motivated, there's an influx of dopamine.
Yes.
Dopamine is that same chemical that makes us feel pleasure. I mean, it's not happiness, it's pleasure. It's a little above happiness. And when you are in a positive aura, you work better. In fact, the science tells us that when you are in a positive mood, this part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex, it works better. And this is the part of the brain that you use in thinking, analyzing, making judgments.
Is that why after pleasure, people are more productive?
It's possible.
After that kind of pleasure.
Exactly. Now, in the opposite light is, if I'm in a state of down or I'm anxious, I'm worried about something, this part of the brain gets impaired. In many regards, it's like it's gone to bed.
Yes.
So we become impulsive because there's a small device behind the head. Your amygdala takes over.
Yeah.
So then now, you are becoming impulsive. You are being reactive. And we know that being reactive usually doesn't give us the best responses.
Results. Thank you, thank you. Oh my God. Even if I wasn't a host of Confessions, I'd still love Confessions. A place where you gather knowledge, the spiritual, the believers, the other believers, and the medical. Where else are you going to gather us? This is a super show, isn't it? People celebrate Confessions. Come on. All right. So we're wrapping up the show tonight, and I'd want to take your last words, Rev, and then I will come to you, Manye.
Yeah, Miss Nancy, it has been a very wonderful night. And I want to say that one word, intuition. Intuition basically is your inner teacher who teaches you within yourself, intuition. And I think both Christians and whoever else is listening must develop that voice inside of us, which will guide. Then again, let us not try things that we don't have much information about, because when you try that, you would get into situations that it's difficult to get out of it. And so we need to be careful.
Good one. Manye, your last word.
I'm going to write on you need to be careful, because it's the one thing that I preach all the time. You know, there's an old lady friend of mine who says, many years ago, you would find magicians all over. Today, where are they? Most of them are pastors. Okay? So you need to understand that not everybody who appears as a shaman, a spiritualist, a pastor, a man of God, is who he or she says they are. Like he said, intuition. Your intuition is really, and Doc mentioned that you know, and they would ask you how often the voice has been right or wrong. I can tell you that people who 99% of the time, the voice is right. And science cannot explain that. So let's not discount the existence of things of the spirit, because there are people who can say it will rain in 10 minutes when it is sunny, and it does rain. I've had that experience. Okay, so when you have experienced these kinds of things and science cannot explain, it is difficult for you to discount the existence of spirit and clairvoyance and clairsentience and all of those things.
Your advice to the young man?
My advice to the young man, first of all, he needs to, again, discern and find the right place to go for assistance. Spiritually, we will say he needs to go for a divination, find out what bonds it is that he has created, break those bonds, and move on. It's the same kind of thing that Pastor was saying, that prayer, fasting. And he mentioned something that I was very happy about. It is not about pray for me. God, and I'm going to quote from the Bible because sometimes I do that. God said he made you in his image and likeness. You are God on your own. The popular religions have made us lazy. Spirituality is not for the lazy. It is not for the lazy. It is not about going to Mr. So-and-so to pray for me. It is about you putting your... And so when I hear people say, no, it does not work like that. You need to make the sacrifices for yourself. You need to take the steps for yourself. And so for him, what I will say is, first of all, pray for discernment. Find somebody who can actually guide you out of this thing that you have found yourself in. Break the ties, break the bonds, and hopefully, you need to remember the times and seasons.
I'm super excited about this. Tonight's content. It's been a very exciting episode of Confessions right here. And to wrap this up, now I remember one of the things that my resource person says, Manya to be precise, she says that the person you are going to fix your little may see beyond that little into greatness. So you be careful where you go to seek the help that you think you need. People, it's been a great conversation, and same time next week, MTN, everywhere you go, brings you another episode of Confessions, and hopefully we'll see you.